whispers through the pines, a mournful sigh that carries the chilling legend of the Jersey Devil. Deep within the pine barrens, a desolate expanse of scrub and shadow, a creature of nightmare stalks the night. Born of a cursed birth, the 13th child of Mother Leeds, a woman said to have consorted with the devil himself. The Jersey Devil is a monstrosity of flesh and bone, a twisted mockery of nature. Its form is fluid, shifting and changing in the swirling mists of the barrens. Some describe it as a bipedal kangaroo, its powerful legs propelling it across the landscape with terrifying speed. Others speak of a wyvern, its leathery wings beating against the night sky, casting a long, ominous shadow over the terrified witnesses below. But all agree on certain chilling details. A horse-like or goat-like head with eyes that burn with an unholy fire. Horns, sharp and twisted, protrude from its skull, framing a face contorted in a perpetual snarl. Small clawed hands reach out from its withered arms, grasping at its prey. And from its back, leathery bat-like wings unfurl, carrying it silently through the darkness. The most terrifying aspect of the Jersey Devil, however, is its cry. A high-pitched, blood-curdling scream that echoes through the pines, a sound that chills the very soul and freezes the blood in the veins of those who hear it. It is a sound that speaks of primal fear, of ancient evil, of a creature born of darkness and despair. For centuries, the legend has persisted, passed down through generations, a chilling tale whispered around campfires. Farmers tell of livestock mutilated, their carcasses bearing the unmistakable marks of the devil's claws. Hunters speak of fleeting glimpses in the shadows of a creature that moves with unnatural speed and agility. And then there are the whispers of those who claim to have encountered the devil face to face, their stories filled with terror and madness. They speak of a creature that possesses an almost hypnotic power, its eyes holding them captive, its scream paralyzing them with fear. They speak of a being that feeds not only on flesh and blood, but on the very fear it instills in its victims. And then, the most chilling detail of all, those who survive an encounter with the Jersey Devil are never quite the same. They carry the mark of the beast within them, a shadow that haunts their dreams and whispers in their waking moments. Tonight, we explore the mysterious legend of the Beast of Exmoor, a phantom cat said to roam the moors of Devon and Somerset. Relax, unwind, and let this calming tale guide you to sleep. The Beast of Exmoor, also known as the Exmoor Beast, is a legendary creature believed to be a large phantom cat that roams the moors and fields of Exmoor in Devon and Somerset, United Kingdom. The legend first gained widespread attention in the late 1970s, when farmers in the region began reporting mysterious livestock killings, particularly sheep that appeared to have been savaged by a large predator. Over the years, sightings of the beast continued, with eyewitnesses describing it as a big cat, often resembling a panther or puma, with sleek black fur and glowing eyes. The Beast of Exmoor became notorious in the 1980s, when more reports of mutilated livestock surfaced, leading to speculation that a dangerous predator was on the loose. Farmers, alarmed by the continued losses, pushed for investigations, and even the British military was called in at one point to search for the elusive creature. Despite numerous attempts to track down the beast, no conclusive evidence was ever found to confirm its existence. Some believe that the beast might be an exotic pet that was released into the wild, possibly a big cat such as a puma or leopard that managed to survive and adapt to the moors. Others think the beast is purely mythical, a product of local folklore that has grown over time. The British government conducted an investigation in the mid-1980s, but like other inquiries, it failed to provide any definitive answers. To this day, the Beast of Exmoor remains a part of local legend, with occasional sightings still being reported. Whether real or imagined, the beast continues to captivate the imagination of those who live near or visit the wild, untamed moors of Exmoor, adding a layer of mystery to the beautiful landscape. We journey into the misty woods of Bradley, where the sorrowful spirit of the Black Lady roams. Let her quiet footsteps guide you into a peaceful, restful sleep. The Black Lady of Bradley Woods is a haunting figure from English folklore, said to roam the dark and mysterious woods near the village of Bradley in Lincolnshire. This spectral presence has been a part of local legend for centuries, with many claiming to have caught glimpses of her wandering the woods, shrouded in sorrow and silence. Described as a tall, slender woman dressed entirely in black, the Black Lady is most often seen wearing a long, flowing cloak with a hood that covers her face. Her appearances are always marked by an overwhelming sense of sadness and grief, as if she is forever searching for something or someone lost. Her skin is pale, and her eyes, when visible, are filled with an eternal sorrow that seems to pierce through those who encounter her. According to the most well-known version of the legend, the Black Lady was once a young woman during the medieval period who lived happily with her husband, a soldier, and their newborn child in a cottage near the woods. However, her peaceful life was shattered when her husband was called away to fight in the wars. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, but he never returned. Then, one tragic night, a group of soldiers reportedly attacked the village, killing many and abducting the young woman's child. Devastated by the loss of her family, the young mother wandered the woods, searching endlessly for her child, until her grief consumed her, and she eventually perished. From that moment on, her restless spirit is said to have remained bound to the woods, eternally searching for her lost baby. Locals claim that the Black Lady appears most often on misty evenings, her figure emerging from the shadows of the trees. Some say she will ask passers-by if they have seen her child, while others report that she simply stares, lost in her grief, before vanishing back into the darkness. Over the years, the legend of the Black Lady has served as a cautionary tale for children, warning them to stay away from the woods after dark. While many are sceptical, there are still those who believe in her presence, and stories of sightings continue to circulate. Whether real or imagined, the Black Lady of Bradley Woods remains a symbol of deep sorrow and eternal longing. Her tragic story lingers in the minds of those who hear it, casting a shadow of mystery Ohio River, winding its way through the city of Evansville, Indiana, has long been a place of mystery, a dark, undisturbed stretch of water where shadows move beneath the surface and secrets linger in its depths. But none of the stories are as chilling as the tale of the green-clawed beast, a horrifying creature that has stalked the riverbank since August 14th, 1955. It was on that summer night that the first terrifying encounter occurred. A young woman, swimming in the warm, murky waters of the Ohio River, was caught off guard by something she could not explain. As she paddled through the water, she felt a sudden, sharp pain, something gripping her leg, pulling her down into the dark depths. Panic surged through her chest as she struggled to break free, only to be dragged further under. Desperate, she reached down, only to feel the cold, rough texture of claws, green, like algae-coated talons, digging into her flesh. With one final, frantic pull, she wrenched herself free and surfaced, gasping for air, but the creature did not follow. Terrified, she fled to the shore, her leg marred by deep gashes that seemed to burn with an unnatural heat. She told her story to anyone who would listen, but no one believed her. At least not at first. It was only after other women began to report similar attacks that the legend of the green-clawed beast began to take shape. Women swimming in the Ohio River, or even simply wading in the shallows, were pulled under by invisible hands, their bodies scratched and bruised by the monster's powerful claws. The creature seemed to appear from nowhere, dragging its victims into the depths before retreating back to the darkness of the river. The green-clawed beast is said to be humanoid in shape, with long, sinewy arms and terrifyingly sharp green claws that glow faintly in the dim light of the river. Its skin is said to be slick and scaly, like that of some ancient amphibian, its eyes glowing with an unnatural hunger. Some say it is a creature of the river, born from the depths of the earth, awakened by the pollution and decay of the water. Others whisper that it is something far older, an ancient terror, long forgotten but never truly gone, that has always lurked beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to strike. The attacks continue to haunt the town to this day, with local legends speaking of the creature's periodic return, drawn by the scent of fresh blood or the call of an unsuspecting swimmer. Though the authorities have always dismissed the stories as nothing more than urban legends, the scars on the victims' legs and the eerie tales from those who survived tell a far darker story. And so, the green-clawed beast of the Ohio River lingers in the hearts of the people of Evansville, a nightmare that is never too far from the surface, waiting for the next unwitting soul to dip their toes too deep into its domain. If you ever find yourself on the riverbanks after dark, remember this: you might feel the water shift beneath you, a chill creeping up your spine, and then, just as the darkness swallows the last of the light, you'll hear the unmistakable scrape of claws against flesh. Let's dive into the eerie tale of Carmen Winstead, a chilling urban legend that's been passed down through whispers. Relax, get comfortable, and let this haunting story lull you to sleep. Carmen Winstead was a 17-year-old high school student, an ordinary girl by most accounts. But her life took a horrifying turn one fateful day. It all started when her family moved to a new town. Carmen found herself struggling to fit in, especially with a group of girls who often bullied her. They teased her relentlessly, picking on her for things as trivial as her clothes and her quiet demeanour. One afternoon, during a fire drill at school, the bullying escalated to other students were lined up outside, next to an open manhole that led deep into the town's sewer system. As the drill went on, Carmen's tormentors decided to pull a cruel prank. They started pushing and shoving her closer to the edge, laughing as Carmen tried to maintain her balance. But things quickly spiraled out of control. With one final shove, Carmen lost her footing and plummeted into the open manhole. The fall was long and deadly, and when she hit the bottom, her neck snapped, killing her instantly. The bullies, realizing the horror of what they had done, panicked. Instead of confessing, they decided to lie. They told the teachers and authorities that Carmen had simply fallen in by accident. The school and police accepted their story, and Carmen's death was ruled a tragic accident. But Carmen's story didn't end there. Soon after her funeral, the girls who had been responsible for her death started receiving strange emails and messages. The emails claimed to be from Carmen herself, warning them that they would soon face justice for what they had done. At first, the girls dismissed the messages as a sick joke, but as time passed, one by one, they started to disappear. Each girl met a mysterious end, found dead in the same way Carmen had died, pushed into a sewer, their necks broken. Their deaths were unexplained, and rumours spread through the school. Then the emails began circulating more widely, warning others, "Pass this message on, or Carmen will come for you." The urban legend of Carmen Winstead, sometimes referred to as Jessica Smith, became infamous. People believed that failing to forward the message would bring Carmen's vengeful spirit to their doorstep, claiming them just as she did her tormentors. In the shadowed annals of maritime lore lies the chilling tale of the floating coffin of Charles Coghlan, a legend as haunting as the sea that carried it. Charles Coghlan, a celebrated actor born on Prince Edward Island, Canada, met his end far from home on November the 27th, 1899, in Galveston, Texas. His body was interred in a stately vault in Lakeview Cemetery, where it was thought to rest in peace. But the sea had other plans. The following year, in September 1900, the infamous Galveston hurricane struck with apocalyptic fury. Winds howled like banshees, and the surging waves claimed thousands of lives, including the dead already buried in the earth. Among the storm's grisly victims was Coghlan's coffin, torn from its resting place and cast into the raging Gulf waters. For years nothing was heard of the coffin's fate until a tale began to emerge. One whispered with disbelief and dread. According to legend, the coffin, guided by some unseen hand, or perhaps by Coghlan's unfulfilled yearning for home, drifted through the Gulf of Mexico, up the Atlantic coast, and across the icy waters, eventually washing ashore on the rugged shores of Prince Edward Island. There, it was said, his remains were laid to rest at last in the land of his birth, completing a ghostly journey of thousands of miles. Though modern accounts debunk the fantastical end of the legend, claiming his coffin was discovered in 1907, partially submerged in a marsh just 9 miles from Galveston, the eerie myth endures. Ripley's Believe It or Not immortalised the story in 1929, solidifying its place in folklore. Even now, the tale of Charles Coghlan's floating coffin remains a ghostly reminder of nature's wrath and the strange forces that seem to guide the dead. Whispers linger of his spirit still haunting the restless seas, a man forever tethered to the tides that carried him home. explore the mysterious legend of Black Aggie, a haunting statue once feared for its supernatural powers. Relax, settle in, and let this eerie tale gently guide you to sleep. Black Aggie is an eerie urban legend centered around a mysterious statue that once stood at the grave of General Felix Agnes in Druid Ridge Cemetery, Pikesville, Maryland. The statue, a somber figure draped in a cloak, resembled the well-known sculpture Grief by Augustus St. Gaudens. However, over time, Black Aggie became infamous for the supernatural tales that surrounded it. According to local law, strange and unsettling events began to occur after the statue was placed in the cemetery. People claimed that Aggie's eyes would glow red at night, and that anyone who looked into them would be struck blind or cursed. Another part of the legend states that if someone sat on Aggie's lap at midnight, they would either die within a year or be haunted by the statue. It was also rumoured that the shadow of Black Aggie would cause nearby grass to wither and die. Due to the growing number of ghostly tales and instances of vandalism, Black Aggie became a focal point for thrill seekers and paranormal enthusiasts. Many visited the statue either to test the legend or to experience the supernatural aura that surrounded it. The stories grew, further embedding Black Aggie into Maryland's folklore. Eventually, the statue was removed from the cemetery in 1967 to put an end to the disturbances it caused. Though the statue itself is gone, the legend of Black Aggie continues to captivate in imaginations, with people still sharing stories of the haunted statue and the eerie events that took place in Druid Ridge Cemetery. Let's journey into the haunting forests of Veracruz, where ancient whispers tell of mysterious creatures called the Chenecas. Close your eyes, relax, and let their eerie legend guide you to sleep. In the dense, untamed forests of Veracruz, whispers of an ancient terror linger, the Chenecs. Born from the depths of Aztec mythology, these eerie creatures are believed to dwell between the realms of the living and the underworld. Their sole purpose? To guard the sacred mountains and wild creatures that roam their untamed domains. But these guardians are far from benevolent. The Chenecas are small, no taller than a child, but their appearance is deceptive. They take on the guise of tiny men and women, their forms twisted and contorted, with eyes that glimmer like blackened coals. Their laughter, an eerie, high-pitched sound, echoes through the trees, growing louder the deeper you wander into the forest. Travellers who hear this sound know they've strayed too far into Chenec territory, and once the creatures have set their sights on you, escape is nearly impossible. The air grows thick, heavy with the scent of damp earth and rotting leaves, and suddenly you'll realise that the path you are following has vanished. The trees around you seem to close in, and the familiar sounds of the forest, bird song, the rustling of leaves, fall deathly silent. It is then that the Chenecs strike. With swift, silent movements, they dart between the trees, their eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. Their soft whispers crawl inside your head, filling unfortunate traveller begins to wither, their mind unravelling until they are but a hollow shell of their former self. To those who manage to escape the forest, the ordeal never truly ends. They say that the Shanekes curse their victims with endless nightmares and strange illnesses, their whispers haunting them long after they've left the woods behind. The only way to break free is to return to the forest and appease the Shaneks with offerings of food or valuables. A dangerous proposition, for those who return rarely make it out alive. In the dark, shadowy depths of the forest, the Shaneks wait, ever watchful. For once you enter their domain, you belong to them, and they will not let you go. Nestled in the shadowy woods of Connecticut lies Dudleytown, an abandoned settlement long deserted, yet shrouded in a legend so dark that locals dare not approach. Known as the Village of the Damned, Dudleytown is said to be cursed, a place where misfortune and madness consumed all who once called it home. Though the town has been reclaimed by nature, its eerie past haunts the trees, and whispers of its sinister history linger in the night air. The story begins with the Dudley family, who settled here in the 1700s. According to legend, they brought a curse with them, a curse that had followed them from England, steeped in betrayal and misfortune. Soon after they arrived, strange occurrences began. Crops failed, livestock vanished, and settlers faced strange, violent deaths. Many residents fell into madness, claiming to see dark figures lurking at the edge of the forest. Some even spoke of hearing whispers and laughter echoing in the stillness, voices from the shadows calling them into the woods. Dudleytown's decline was swift and brutal. By the 1800s, the few remaining families abandoned the town, fleeing the unshakable sense of dread that clung to it. They left behind decaying homes and stories of mysterious disappearances, tragic suicides, and madness that seemed to plague anyone who lingered too long. Locals believe the land itself is cursed, a dark energy woven into the soil, infecting all who come near. Today it is said that the spirits of those who perished in Dudleytown still roam the empty streets, forever trapped by the curse. Though the town is now off limits, curiosity seekers still attempt to visit, drawn by the sinister reputation of Dudleytown. Many who sneak onto the land report feeling an overwhelming sense of dread, hearing faint whispers or even seeing shadowy figures moving among the ruins. Some have left in terror, claiming they felt invisible hands pressing down on their shoulders, as if something were trying to pull them into the darkness. The warnings are clear. Stay away from Dudleytown, for the curse remains, waiting for those foolish enough to disturb the silence of the haunted ghost town. Those who venture there may find themselves trapped, ensnared by a darkness that has claimed many before, and will not hesitate to claim more. Welcome to the chilling tale of Mercy Brown, an urban legend from the quiet town of Exeter, Rhode Island. Relax, close your eyes, and let this mysterious story take you back in time. In the small, quiet town of Exeter, Rhode Island, during the late 19th century, the Brown family was plagued by tragedy. Tuberculosis, a deadly disease with no known cure at the time, had already claimed the lives of several members of the family. The illness was known as consumption, due to how it appeared to waste away its victims. George Brown, the patriarch, watched helplessly as one by one his loved ones fell ill and causes, George hoped the worst had passed. However, his youngest daughter, Mercy Brown, soon fell ill with the same symptoms. Mercy was a bright young woman, but tuberculosis did not spare her, and she died in January 1892 at the age of 19. Her death left the Brown family devastated, but the horror was not yet over. Just weeks after Mercy's passing, her brother, Edwin, who had been ill for some time, took a turn for the worse. Fearing for his life, desperate measures were taken, leading to the birth of an enduring legend. At the time, tuberculosis was not well understood, and in many rural communities, fear and superstition spread almost as quickly as the disease itself. In Exeter, some townsfolk began to whisper about the possibility of something more sinister. Could the dead be rising from their graves to drain the life from the living? This idea, while unthinkable to modern sensibilities, was deeply rooted in folklore at the time. In New England, there was a long-standing belief in vampires. Though these vampires were not the glamorous creatures of Gothic fiction, but rather the restless dead rising from their graves to consume the life force of their living relatives. George Brown, despite being a practical man, was persuaded by his neighbours to exhume the bodies of his deceased family members, hoping to find the cause of Edwin's worsening condition. In March of 1892, with the ground still frozen, a small group of men gathered in the graveyard where the Browns were buried. They first dug up the remains of George's wife and eldest daughter, but both had decomposed as expected. Then they turned to Mercy. Unlike the others, Mercy's body was found to be in a strangely preserved state, even though she had been buried for over 2 months. Her skin still appeared relatively intact, and there were even rumours that her body had shifted in the grave, as though she had been moving after death. The most alarming discovery, however, was the presence of fresh blood in her heart and veins. The elevator game is not for the faint of heart. This eerie ritual, which originated on a Japanese forum in 2008, promises to transport players to an alternate world if they follow its chilling steps precisely. But those who play it know the risks. A journey that may lead them somewhere they can never return from, with a sinister presence haunting their every step. The rules are deceptively simple. Enter an empty building with at least 10 floors and step into the elevator alone. Press a specific sequence of buttons, 4, 2, 6, 2, 10, and 5, and upon reaching the 5th floor, something unsettling is said to happen. The door may open, revealing a mysterious woman standing there, dressed in shadows and staring straight ahead, ignoring the player. Legends warn never to look at her, speak to her, or acknowledge her presence, for she is not human. Those who break this rule have reportedly vanished without a trace, drawn into her icy, haunting gaze. If the ritual continues correctly, pressing the 1st floor should cause the elevator to ascend to the 10th floor instead, defying the commands. When the doors open, players will find themselves in a world both familiar and unsettlingly different, a barren, dark version of their own reality, empty and silent. Outside, a red cross glows ominously in the distance, casting an eerie light over a desolate landscape. They say if you step out here, you may become trapped, lost in this strange dimension, never to return. To return to the real world, the player must repeat the same button sequence, resisting the urge to look at the woman if she reappears. But the game is dangerous. Many who claim to have survived report feeling watched, plagued by shadows and strange figures following them long after they leave the elevator. The elevator game is not just a harmless superstition, but a doorway into darkness, a ritual that blurs the line between worlds and calls forth a presence that seems to lurk in the shadows. dare to play, one warning remains. Once you enter, you may never find your way back. Tonight, we explore the mysterious legend of Area 51. Let your mind wander as we delve into the tales of secrecy, government conspiracies, and the question, are we truly alone? Area 51 is one of the most famous and enduring urban legends in modern times, often associated with government secrecy, extraterrestrial life, and mysterious UFO sightings. Officially known as a classified section of the Nevada Test and Training Range, Area 51 is a highly restricted military base located in the remote Nevada desert. While it serves as a testing site for experimental aircraft and weapons, the site has become the centre of countless conspiracy theories over the years, with many believing it holds evidence of extraterrestrial visitors and their advanced technology. The origins of the Area 51 legend date back to the late 1940s and 1950s, a period marked by the rapid development of aviation technology and a growing interest in UFO sightings. The US government's secrecy surrounding the activities at Area 51 only fueled public curiosity. Speculation intensified in the 1980s when a man named Bob Lazar claimed that he had worked at a site near Area 51 called S4, where he said the US government was reverse engineering alien spacecraft. Lazar's detailed descriptions of flying saucers, anti-gravity propulsion, and alien technology captured the public's imagination, even though his claims were widely disputed and lacked verifiable evidence. Over the decades, Area 51 became a symbol of government cover-ups, and the idea that the US military was hiding knowledge of extraterrestrial life. UFO enthusiasts believe that Area 51 holds physical evidence of alien visitors, including crashed UFOs, and possibly even the bodies of extraterrestrials. Many also connect the base to the infamous 1947 Roswell incident, in which a mysterious object crashed in New Mexico. While the government eventually explained that the object was a weather balloon part of a classified project, many still believe it was an alien spacecraft and that its wreckage was transported to Area 51 for study. In addition to Lazar's claims, there have been numerous reports of strange lights and unidentified flying objects near Area 51, further fueling the legend. These sightings are often attributed to the secret testing of advanced military aircraft, such as the U-2 spy plane or the SR-71 Blackbird, both of which were developed and tested in the area. However, for those who believe in the extraterrestrial connection, these explanations are seen as mere cover stories. Despite the widespread speculation and intrigue, there has never been any concrete evidence to support the idea that Area 51 contains extraterrestrial technology or visitors from other planets. In fact, in 2013, the CIA officially acknowledged the existence of Area 51 for the first time, releasing declassified documents that detailed its role in testing advanced aircraft, but made no mention of aliens or UFOs. In the shadowed peaks of California's Santa Lucia Range, there exists a haunting legend that has persisted for centuries. Known as the Dark Watchers, or as early Spanish settlers called them, los vigilantes oscuros. These mysterious figures are said to lurk among the cliffs and ridges, observing anyone who dares wander too close. They are tall, towering silhouettes, human-like, yet somehow larger than life, standing motionless against the horizon, watching in silence. No one knows who or what they are, or why they appear, but every sighting comes with a feeling of dread, as if these dark sentinels hold secrets that mortals were never meant to uncover. Travellers who venture into the mountains often report a strange sense of being watched, even when alone. As they scan the landscape, they see them, figures draped in darkness, always at a distance, their outlines clear, but their features impossible to discern. They wear what appear to be long cloaks and wide-brimmed hats, though some say the figures shift and blur if looked at too long, fading into shadows, as if they were never there at all. Yet they reappear moments later, always at the edge of sight, still watching, waiting. Many believe that the Dark Watchers are ancient spirits, protectors of the mountains, or perhaps remnants of a darker time, cursed to roam these peaks eternally. Legend has it that they don't take kindly to those who venture too deeply into their territory. One story tells of a hiker who, upon noticing a figure in the distance, tried to approach it. As he drew closer, he felt an icy chill spreading through his body, a whisper on the wind urging him to turn back. When he ignored it and moved forward, the figure seemed to grow taller, its shadow stretching, consuming the very light around him. Panicked, the hiker ran, but the feeling of the watcher's gaze followed him, haunting him for years afterward. Another tale describes a group of campers who spotted a dark watcher at dusk, outlined against the setting sun. They watched in terror as it seemed to raise an arm, pointing directly at them, though no face could be seen. That night, the campers awoke to strange sounds outside their tent. A soft rustling, like fabric brushing against stone. In the morning, they found strange footprints around their camp, impossibly large, yet vanishing abruptly, as if the entity had simply melted into the mountain itself. People say that the Dark Watchers cannot be approached or interacted with. Those who have tried to take photographs or call out to them find that their equipment malfunctions, their voices swallowed by the stillness. The Watchers simply observe, their intentions unfathomable, as if bound by a purpose known only to them. Locals warn hikers to leave offerings if they must enter the mountains. James Dean's untimely death in 1955 left an eerie shadow over Hollywood, a legacy of rebellion and tragedy. But it was not just his passing that stirred the imaginations of millions. It was the dark legend surrounding his beloved Porsche 550 Spider, ominously nicknamed Little Bastard. The car, the very machine in which Dean met his end on a lonely California highway, would go on to become infamous in its own right, woven into a web of curses, accidents, and unexplained events that would haunt anyone who dared come near it. Dean, known for his fascination with speed, had poured his passion into the sleek silver Porsche, a car that felt like an extension of his own persona. Dangerous, alluring, and defiant. Friends warned him about the car, claiming it gave off a sinister aura, but Dean shrugged off their concerns. Some even said they'd had visions of his death behind his wheel. Yet, on September 30th, 1955, as Dean raced down Route 466, Little Bastard met its fate, colliding with another vehicle in a brutal accident that killed him instantly. But while Dean's life ended that day, the story of Little Bastard had only just begun. was carted off, twisted and mangled, a ghostly reminder of the tragedy. Yet, for some, the remnants held a dark allure. People began to scavenge parts from the Porsche, hoping to claim a piece of history. But they would soon realise that they had taken more than just a piece of metal. They had inherited a curse. The parts from Dean's little bastard seemed to carry with them a thirst for destruction, a dark legacy that brought disaster upon any who dared touch it. The first victim was a mechanic who purchased the car's engine and installed it into his own race car. During his first race with the engine, he lost control, careening off the track and meeting his death in a fiery crash. Another racer, who had taken the transmission from Dean's Porsche, suffered a near-identical fate, his vehicle flipping violently on a seemingly safe track. Both men perished, their deaths eerily mirroring Dean's own tragic end, as if the spirit of little bastard demanded more lives. Other parts of the car met equally chilling fates. 2 tyres taken from the Porsche blew out simultaneously, causing the driver's car to swerve off the road and overturn, leaving him gravely injured. Those who witnessed the crash claimed that the tyres had seemed perfectly fine beforehand, as if they'd been sabotaged by an unseen force. Another story tells of a physician who purchased the Porsche's blood-stained seats, hoping to restore them, only to find his home inexplicably caught in a blaze soon after, destroying not only the seats, but his life's belongings. The fire's cause was never determined. The twisted remains of Little Bastard were eventually purchased by car customizer George Barris, who intended to display it as a cautionary symbol. But even as a lifeless display, the Porsche continued its path of destruction. In one instance, it fell off its display stand and crushed a nearby bystander's legs. Another time, it slipped loose from its moorings while being transported and killed a truck driver in a horrific accident. It was as if the car itself resented being confined, lashing out at anyone who dared contain it. The final mystery came in 1960, when Little Bastard was in transit to a museum exhibit. Somewhere along the journey, the cursed wreck simply vanished. No one could account for its disappearance, and to this day, Little Bastard remains lost, its twisted metal and dark history dissolved into thin air. Rumours abound, with some believing the car escaped to fulfill its unholy mission, others saying it was buried to rid the world of its curse, and a few even speculating that it reappears now and then, hidden in a collector's vault, waiting to be unleashed once more. The tale of Little Bastard endures, an urban legend of fear and fascination. For those who hear it, there's an uneasy question. Could a machine be haunted, possessed by the spirit of its past? Clinton Road, a desolate stretch of asphalt in the heart of New Jersey, is infamous for its eerie atmosphere and the legends that cling to it like a cold mist. One of the most chilling of these stories is the tale of the ghost boy who haunts the old bridge along the road, forever waiting in the dark for those brave or foolish enough to seek him out. The legend begins with a tragic tale of a young boy who died under mysterious circumstances many years ago. Some say he drowned in the murky waters beneath the bridge. Others whisper that he was a victim of an accident, but no one truly knows. What is certain, however, is that his spirit never left the bridge. Instead it lingered, bound to the spot by the horrors of his untimely death, waiting for those who might encounter him in the dead of night. The story goes that if you visit the bridge on a quiet, moonless night and throw a coin into the dark waters below, something strange will happen. At first, it might seem like nothing more than a silly superstition, but as the night stretches on, the air will begin to feel heavy, thick with an unnatural silence. The shadows around the bridge will grow deeper, and you may feel an unsettling chill on the back of your neck, as if you're being watched. Then, if you return to the spot after a time, you may find the coin you tossed into the water resting at your feet, returned to you as though by some unseen hand. At first, it's easy to dismiss this as coincidence. Perhaps the current brought it back, or it was there all along. But those who have returned again and again tell a different tale. The coin isn't just lying in the same spot, it's placed right in front of you, as if someone or something wants you to find it. But the most chilling part of the story is the boy, some say. In the moments before the coin is returned, they've seen him, standing just out of reach, a small, pale figure. His face is obscured in the darkness, but his eyes are unmistakable, empty, hollow, staring at you with an otherworldly intensity. He does not speak. He simply watches, waiting. And when you turn away, even for a second, the coin is there. Returned as if by magic, the boy's intentions remain unclear. Is he trying to communicate? Or is this some twisted game he plays with those who dare approach? No one knows, but one thing is certain. There is something deeply unsettling about the presence that haunts that bridge. Many claim that after encountering the ghost boy, they feel an overwhelming sense of unease, a feeling that they are never truly alone, no matter where they go. And so the legend of the ghost boy persists, drawing thrill seekers and curious souls to Clinton Road, where the line between life and death seems thinner than anywhere else. But for those who dare venture near the bridge, remember this: once you make contact with the boy, once you feel his eyes upon you, it may be too late to ever leave that haunted place behind, because some spirits never let go. Tonight, we take a quiet journey into the eerie legend of the chupacabra. Let the mystery of the goat-sucker guide you into a peaceful slumber as we unravel this chilling tale. In the remote, shadowed corners of the Americas, whispers carry a name: the chupacabra. Born from terror and blood, this cryptid first slithered into legend on the stormy nights of Puerto Rico. Farmers would wake to a nightmare, their once lively goats drained of life, eyes glassy, throats pierced by two perfect holes. The blood was gone, as if sucked dry by some unholy predator. They say the name, chupacabra, stems from its insidious habits. Chupa, meaning to suck, and cabra, meaning goat. And so it was called the goat sucker, a beast with an insatiable thirst for blood. As dawn broke and bodies of livestock lay scattered, many wondered what kind of creature could commit such carnage. Described as reptilian or dog-like, the chupacabra is said to move with an unnatural grace, its skin scaly, cold to the touch, with glowing red eyes that burn through the night like molten embers. It creeps silently through the fields, avoiding human eyes, until it strikes, leaving nothing but empty carcasses and fear in its wake. Reports spread beyond Puerto Rico, with sightings in Mexico, South America, and even the southern United States. In each case, the telltale signs were the same: drained livestock, puncture wounds, and an eerie, lingering silence that chilled the blood of those left behind. Some claimed to see it with their own eyes, a monstrous figure crouching low to the ground, waiting for the moment to pounce. Its movements were quick, almost too fast to follow, vanishing into the darkness as quickly as it appeared. Legends tell that the chupacabra was a cursed experiment gone wrong, a mutated creature that escaped from the depths of a secret lab, its body forever twisted into something both alien and grotesque. Others believe it is something far older, a demonic force that has existed for centuries, waiting for the right moment to return and feast upon the world. To this day, people fear the shadow of the chupacabra, dreading the eerie silence that falls over their farms at night. They lock their doors and guard their animals, praying that they will not be the next victims of the creature that stalks in the dark, thirsting for blood. As long as the chupacabra remains a mystery, it will continue to haunt the imagination of those who dare to walk the lonely roads, wondering if tonight will be the night they hear the hiss of the goatsucker closing in. In the shadowed realms of rural lore, where the line between jest and truth blurs, the legend of cow tipping haunts the fields and farmyards. Said to be a moonlit escapade for thrill-seeking youths, this bizarre activity involves the stealthy approach towards an unsuspecting cow, fast asleep standing upright in the darkness, and the sudden, forceful shove to topple the massive beast over for mere sport. But beyond the surface of this seemingly harmless prank lies a more chilling narrative, whispered among those who know the countryside's true face after dark. As the legend goes, in a secluded farming community, enveloped by the embrace of ancient woods and forgotten roads, cow tipping became more than just a reckless pastime. It morphed into a ritual of fear. The teens of this town, driven by boredom and the intoxicating rush of defiance, would venture out into the fields under the guise of night, their laughter slicing through the silence like a cold wind. But there was one night that turned their mischievous jaunt into a nightmare. As the group approached a familiar pasture, the moon hung low and ominous, bathing everything in a ghostly silver hue. The cows stood like monolithic statues in the mist, their breath forming clouds in the crisp air. Emboldened by the eerie night, the teens singled out a large, shadowy figure at the edge of the field. With a mix of exhilaration and alcohol-fueled bravado, they crept up to the sleeping cow. However, as they laid their hands on the creature, ready to push, the cow did not budge. Instead, it slowly turned its head, revealing not the docile eyes of a farm animal, but the glowing red orbs of a creature from deeper shadows. The teens froze, their hearts pounding as the cow, or the thing that masqueraded as one, rose unnaturally on its hind legs, towering over them with a menacing presence. Panic erupted as the creature chased them through the fields, its form blurring between beast and spectre, its bellows a grotesque parody of bovine grunts mixed with something far older and angrier. The youths scattered, screaming into the night, forever marked by the terror of what they had provoked. Those who returned spoke little of the incident, their eyes haunted by the memory. The story spread, a cautionary tale whispered around campfires and during late-night gatherings. Cow tipping was no longer seen as a harmless challenge, but as a dare with potentially dire consequences. To this day, the fields at the edge of that town remain untouched at night, the cows left to their peaceful slumber. For the locals know that some rural myths are better left untested, and that disturbing the natural order can can awaken things best left asleep in the darkness.